bread out of the oven. And I'll check the temp.
Mom? Mom?
Shh, 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 shh. Oh, here we go. This is what it looks like. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. This Dutch oven is very heavy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this out, right? Set it on a cooling rack. Let it cool. Now normally they tell you half an hour, not an hour to let it cool. But I'm not gonna do that. Because I'll tell you why. Afterwards. Okay, so since I have gloves on, I can actually hold it because this thing's hot. This is what it looks like. Check it out. And if you tap it, hear that? It sounds hollow. So I'm gonna let it cool off. You can actually save these parchment papers. Pretty much just don't throw them away until they're completely toasted, right? I'm gonna let it rest. Oh wait, temperature. Let's do a temperature check. Let's check the temp. Okay. Check the temperature. Close this. Thermometer right here. We don't know Celsius here in America, we know Fahrenheit. So, poke it in here. Now you want your bread to be about 200 degrees. And right now it shows 201. I don't know if you guys can see it. See that? Wait. Okay, a little bit hotter actually. It's cooling off, but it's 208. So we're gonna let it cool for 10 minutes. Put the timer on for 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes is up, boom. Now tomorrow I'm making the other loaf of bread. So I'm pretty stoked about all this, the fact that it came out right. The other one is on a cold ferment. They call it a cold retard ferment, whatever. Because when you put the bread, the dough, as it's bulk fermenting, when you put it in the fridge, it still ferments, only it does it slower, at a slower rate. It's like putting the brakes on, right? You're slowing down. But now I'm gonna take this out. This is the water, the pan that I had. I can actually leave it in for now because I'll use it tomorrow and it'll already be preloaded. So, but yeah, I'm gonna let this cool off for 10 minutes. Then I'm gonna cut into it, show you guys what it looks like, and we'll look at what's called the crumble, which is the interior of it. So yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked right now. Finally got a decent loaf of bread. My bread did not look like this before, so I'm really happy. So once that timer goes off, I'm gonna slice this bread and then we can taste it. So 10 minutes. Not an hour, you don't have to wait an hour. And this is the guy that I followed and actually got his recipe from. His YouTube page is called @Sourdough Made Easy. So if you want to check him out, him and his wife have been making bread for years now. The dough recipe that I got from him is 60% hydration. That means it's not really wet, although it was a little. It wasn't wet at all. I did another recipe earlier. I think it probably had a higher hydration because it was wetter. This was nice. It wasn't as wet, so it was a little drier. Easier to work with, especially for a beginner like myself. I just started on my sourdough journey this year, earlier. So I used a flat, cold starter, flat, cold, and hungry starter straight out of the fridge, which is amazing because when you start making sourdough bread, they tell you to have a starter, right? Well, starters take a while to make. They can take up to a month. Most people get their starters from another baker, from a friend, from a family member. And when you get the starter and they tell you how to make the bread, you have to feed your starter like it's a little kid, right? You feed it, you wait for it to rise. Then when it's at its peak, that's when you use the starter. But this guy did it he just took starter straight from the fridge. And that's what I did last night. I made it, I mixed it, water, flour, salt, everything, until the flour was absorbed into the rest of the mix. And I didn't need it. Then I covered it and I went to bed. So I let this thing sit, the dough. I have some videos from last night. I let it sit overnight on the counter with a cover on it, right? So it proofed or bulk fermented in the kitchen. And then the next day, which was today, this morning, I took it out and I let it proof some more after I shaped it, right? I shaped it last night and I shaped it a little bit more and I put it in the oven. The oven wasn't hot because they tell you to make sure you warm up your oven and you let the Dutch oven heat up for an hour before you actually use it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you hear when you watch this, but it wasn't the case here. After letting it proof for those 90 minutes, I scored it. That's why you have this part right here, and that's called the ear. This part right here is called the ear. I guess because it looks like an ear. So when I cut it open and we look at it, I mean, I can see parts right here that looks like, hey, it might be a little doughy or gummy, but I'm still learning, right? So I put the water on the rack below. I didn't preheat the oven. I set the oven to 425 and I let it bake for 58 minutes in a cold Dutch oven, in a cold oven. So the oven heated up. I want to say like somewhere in after, I can't remember the time, but when the oven finally came up to temperature, it took longer because it had that big old Dutch oven and this bread in it, which was cooler. So I had to heat that up as well, right? So I did that. I baked it for 58 minutes. Then I removed the lid. After I removed the lid, I cooked it for another 12 minutes. And they tell you can cook it longer if you want, depending on the color you want your crust, right? So my crust is, I would say, a golden brown, right? And I'm excited. It's cooling now. He says 10 minutes. The other bakers tell you an hour. So I'm going to see what happens. Personally, I probably wouldn't mind waiting an hour, but I can't wait for this because I've been working hard trying to get the dough right and the recipe right, and I believe I might finally have. So that's it for now. Actually, we can wait on here. I have another 4.5 minutes before I cut it open and show you the crumble. So I'll do that. Let me raise this up a little bit so I don't have to lean down so far. You guys can see it. You guys can see it, right? You can see it. See it, see it, see it. Okay, bread knife. Well, this bread knife's kind of short. I think I have a longer one. Yeah, I have one that's a little longer. Need one to get all the way across, right? Now I'll get a plate. I can slice this and put it on a plate. Slice it. Some butter. Also gonna get some cream cheese. So like I said, I have the other batch in the refrigerator. Cold fermenting is what it's called, right? That's a cold ferment. The thing about cold fermenting, what I have heard, is that the longer you let it ferment, the tastier it gets. And supposedly it has health benefits as well, so I don't know about that, I guess. Let's see. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up a little bit. Clean up everything. can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm excited. I don't know if you guys are. I mean, I don't think I'd be excited if I was watching some guy cooking. But so we got 2 minutes left. I scored it with this. It's called a lame. Basically, it's a razor blade, and they curve it, right? So when you cut it at a 45-degree angle. This is because when this dough cooks and it springs, which means it rises up, because this was flat, right? When it rises up, it's going to expand. It'll split open. That's why a lot of loaves of bread, if you ever buy loaves from the store, you always have a slice down the middle, right? See that slice all the way down the center? That's because the bread expands. These, they cook them in a loaf, so. And it's got all kinds of stuff in it. If you look at the ingredients, right? Well, let me see, a ton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 ingredients. This has 3 ingredients: bread flour, water, and salt. And it's fresh. It's amazing. It takes a while to make, right? But it's worth it. Count down 20 seconds. I'm going to take it off this rack now. There it is, 10 minutes. Alright, now we're going to cut it. I'll give my daughter a piece of bread too. So here we go, we're going to cut into it. Alright? Normally they cut into the center. Here we go. After they cut into the center, they fold in. This cut pretty easy, so I'm pretty stoked about that. So now what they do, this looks like it might be a little gummy. Might need to cook it a little bit more. Pop it open, right? Then you hear the crunch. I think I could have waited a little bit longer, but that's okay. I might eat a little piece. I think I'll just take the crust. Look how crunchy that is. I'm going to let it rest a little longer. I have another 50 minutes. We'll see if that changes anything. Kind of sealed this. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless you.